So what happens when you get sick? You get stretched, all out of shape, and so does your wallet.
Fragmentation of services.
Glancing across the American landscape right now, you can never own anything. Latest TV shows, pay a subscription. Fast food,
McDonald's is our kind of place.
no longer budget friendly. Groceries, well, there's dynamic pricing now.
The price of your groceries may soon change right in front of your eyes. A glimpse of what shoppers could soon see is already on display in Europe.
But you see, the worst and most evil subscription of them all is your health care.
Yeah, if you really want to know what's wrong with medical care, just ask ordinary people.
Is that the present healthcare delivery system has grown in a very disorganized, a very fragmented way.
Whether you go to Spain, Sweden, or the UK, staying alive is free. But not in the United States. No. Here, survival is a luxury asset. Right now, a quiet but historic migration is happening across America. Thousands of Gen Z and millennials are either packing their bags or thinking of packing their belongings, giving up on their homes, and fleeing the wealthiest nation on the planet. These individuals aren't merely traveling. Technically, I would go as far as to say they are medical refugees fleeing a healthcare system that treats our basic survival as a premium luxury subscription. If you look at the mainstream media, they tell you this is a natural outcome. They blame post-pandemic inflation. They blame rising labor costs. They want you to believe that keeping human beings alive simply became too expensive. Let me see how I can phrase this properly. You see, this whole narrative is a carefully manufactured illusion. When I decided to actually dedicate some time to educate myself regarding our failing healthcare system, I began to realize the truth is far more sinister. Firstly, to begin with, I was shocked by how the US Senate could simply go on a break and suspend a vote that would literally cost American lives.
Open enrollment for ACA coverage ends today, and the Senate is leaving town for a 10-day recess without a deal to revive or even extend Obamacare subsidies for millions of Americans.
It just blows my mind. As for private equity, while private equity firms control just 7% of the US economy, they still somehow account for a shocking 44% of the largest, most devastating healthcare bankruptcies in the country. From Steward Healthcare to Prospect Medical, emergency rooms didn't run out of money because patients stopped getting sick. They were systematically hollowed out by a network of Wall Street corporate raiders who figured out an intriguing playbook to turn human suffering into pure cash. This isn't a run of bad luck. This is a multi-billion-dollar corporate heist on critical human infrastructure. Welcome to the dark world of private equity. To understand how a group of investment bankers managed to technically hijack American survival, we have to look at the ghost empires they left in their trail of destruction. Steward Healthcare, Prospect Medical, Envision Healthcare, Kano Healthcare, Heinemann University Hospital. If you live in America, you have probably walked through the doors of these institutions. These medical empires once controlled hundreds of hospitals, thousands of clinics, and held the lives of millions of Americans in their hands. But today, they are technically all gone, just like that. These companies are buried under billions of dollars of liability, and it's not the worst of it. These companies all share two things in common. Your health depends on them, and they are all proof of Wall Street anarchy. Whenever a major hospital chain files for bankruptcy, the mainstream media always feeds us the same predictable pattern of excuses, just so you can blame yourself or tell yourself that you don't hustle enough. Apparently, oh, here's a good one. It's the fault of the illegal aliens for taking all the high-paying jobs. After doing some research, I found some interesting information. When ratings agency Moody's audited the 45 most financially distressed, high-risk healthcare companies on the planet, they exposed quite a terrifying reality. 42 of those 45 companies were actually held on puppet strings by private equity funds. These are not medical institutions experiencing a run of bad luck. This is private equity doing what it does best. F up America, so Gen Z can never afford a damn thing. I personally believe they don't buy hospitals to cure diseases. They buy them to strip mine the real estate. They load our local emergency rooms with unpayable debt, fire the essential nursing staff to optimize the corporate ledgers, and then siphon out hundreds of millions of dollars in payouts for themselves, while the ICU runs out of basic medical syringes. If you're a fellow Gen Z or a millennial living in America right now, you probably noticed that we are living through a massive unofficial survival crisis. Our generation is largely doing everything we were told to do. We went to college, we got the jobs, we chased the grind. But you see, here's one problem that makes my skin crawl. No matter what we do, the goalpost just keeps moving. Actually, I've come to believe that the goalposts have been completely destroyed. Today, young Americans are choosing to live in their cars because they either can't pay the rent or the credit score system is now designed to keep them out of basic housing, turning the American dream into a nightmare. One trip to the hospital for a broken bone or something can quickly turn into a life-altering financial situation. It's the difference between keeping your car or getting evicted. This is why nations around the world, from Thailand to Japan, heck, even Malaysia, are suddenly getting an influx of Americans fleeing their country. Who is actually getting all this money? If Americans are paying the highest healthcare prices in human history, why are local hospitals closing down? Why are ER waiting rooms lasting hours on hours?
Probably one of the biggest impacts is after a patient is admitted to the hospital, they end up sitting in the emergency department for hours to sometimes a couple of days because the units where they should be admitted and safely cared for are not staffed.
Why is the system failing everyone while simultaneously bankrupting the masses? To put things in a simplified manner, yes, you pretty much guessed it. The answer to those questions is definitely not inflation. The answer is the same financial weapon I discussed on my previous video, the leveraged buyout. Same method, different sector. Once you understand how this thing works, you might never look at a hospital, a doctor, or a medical bill the same way again. If you or I buy a house, we take out a mortgage. We owe the bank money, our credit is on the line. But in the world of private equity, the rules are somewhat delightfully different. When a private equity firm buys a medical empire, they don't use their own money, they borrow almost all of it. But here's the magic trick. They don't put that debt on their balance sheet. They place the debt on the balance sheet of the hospital. They pledge the hospital's own physical buildings, the life-saving equipment, and the future revenue as collateral for the loan. This is basically the private equity firm saying, if anything goes wrong, the hospital takes the fall. Put this into perspective. Publicly traded healthcare companies maintain a conservative average debt-to-earnings ratio of about 3.0 times. But in 2022, private equity-backed healthcare acquisitions hit a 15-year high. They averaged around 7.1 times earnings. Some exploded to 9 times. This is a fatal dose of financial toxicity. Before the hospital can spend a single dollar on clean linens, employee salaries, or upgrading their MRI machines, they must first funnel millions of dollars a month to Wall Street banks just to pay off the interest on the debt they used to buy them. But you see, it gets worse. Oh, it gets a lot worse. Once the private equity firm has loaded the hospital with unpayable debt, they execute phase 2 of the playbook, which is the sale-leaseback. This is the ultimate corporate strip mining strategy. The private equity firm splits the hospital into 2. They take the physical real estate and sell it to a third-party real estate investment trust, or an REIT, like Medical Properties Trust or Harrison Street Capital. In most cases, that so-called third-party real estate firm has ties to the private equity firm itself. This giant vacuum cleaner labeled as an REIT sucks up the land beneath the hospital, leaving the building floating on a fragile platform. In this way, a massive pile of money is spit out directly into the private equity partner's bank account. But here's the truly sad part. The hospital is left with zero property equity. When you understand this playbook, you realize that the suffering we see every day is not an accident. It's carefully planned and executed with precision. We live in a society that tells us we are lazy. They tell us, Gen Z and millennials, that can't afford houses because we don't hustle enough. We don't want to work anymore. But here's the truth. We are living in a playground that is designed for the wealthy elite to thrive thanks to Ronald Reagan. We live in a world where the very infrastructure of our survival have been converted into short-term cash machines for a handful of people who will never have to worry about a hospital bill in their lives. The next time you see a young American choosing to sleep in their car or relocating across the globe just to access basic affordable healthcare, don't let anyone tell you this is a personal failure. Don't believe the propaganda machine when it says it was operational misfortune when you see a hospital failing. It was a heist, and it's a heist where our lives are collateral. If you like this video, don't forget to check out my video about how private equity used this similar strategy to destroy our childhood history or to destroy Gen Z childhood history. I'll see you there.